Okay, I just want to talk straight to the camera for this one. Hello, I'm Ismail with two A's. Please remember that, and I hope you'll excuse my bed hair. But it's 7 p.m. How on earth I still have bed hair? I have no idea. But what I wanted to talk about today was misinformation, right? And it's something that has been on my mind for a while, been on a lot of people's mind. I imagine with how much influence it's gotten lately. We're talking political power. We're talking, tangible differences in policies, research, and public opinion. And so the question really does become what, well, number one, what's going on? But number two, what on earth can be done about it, right? And I want to take the time to really emphasize that this is a losing fight, right? For every, like, there's a saying, right? That, oh, it can take 3 seconds to say something wrong or spread misinformation, but it'll take 30 minutes to an hour to actually demonstrate that that is misinformation, right? To prove it otherwise incorrect, quote unquote. And that's assuming it's all made in good faith. So you can imagine that it's so inherently leaning towards this entropy of critical thought. I don't even know if that makes sense, but this element of chaos, right? Where the world will, society ultimately will tend towards misinformation, right? I think that's something we have to accept at a certain point. And so if society will tend towards misinformation, the goal cannot be to eradicate or debunk every piece of misinformation. A lot of the time, it's not even about debunking it, right? This is all so tied up with people's identities that it feels like a huge personal attack to have to change your opinion on something. So there's a lot going on here in the background, but you can talk about that for a while, but ultimately the result of that is the misinformation gaining a hold, again, in politics, in research, in again, public opinion. And that might sound trivial, but that is ultimately what causes change. And I think we've been seeing that a lot lately with this current Trump administration and the effect that that has had on global scientific progress, right? And I mean, it's really, really hard to put a number, right, or a figure on how much of an impact it is having. And I'm not sure we'll know until, give it 10 years time, we'll be able to look back on this and say, hey, this kind of sucked. This was kind of not a great time. But who knows? Maybe we'll have fallen apart even more by then. As much as I hope that's not the case. So let's say this is happening. What can you, everyone, etc., realistically do here? And that's why I want to emphasize the goal cannot be to debunk or even tip the scale back in the favor of science, scientific communication, truth, what have you, whatever you want to call it. The first priority has got to be slowing it, right? Not scientific progress, slowing misinformation, right? If you can't beat it just yet, slow it down. What's the difference, right? What's the difference between debunking and slowing it down? Slowing it down is quite simply playing the long game. Long con is crazy. Anti-vaxxers would jump on that as a Freudian slip, I'm sure. But the long game here is this. Well, I mean, I'm the biggest farm machine in the world, clearly, so maybe that's the right way to go. But the long con here, very much, why do I keep saying long con? Holy Sound the alarm. Pharmacial graphic. Editing Ismail. Please put up a pharmacial graphic because I'm the biggest. You know. Anyway. Okay, so slow it down, right? We want to slow it down. That is ultimately the end goal, I guess. So our end goal should be slow it down, not necessarily tipping the tides, right? So I think it's important to establish the correct end goal so you don't feel, disappointed when you inevitably do not reach that utopian lack of misinformation. So end goal set, slow it down, right? Slow it down, combat it where you can. We already went through debunking works sometimes if arguments made in good faith, often they are not. The alternative is to have more good voices in the space. Ensure people have the right ways of accessing information and addressing issues of trust, right? Because it's not like we have a lack of information out there. If you Google vaccine information, vaccine science, all the research on it, viruses exist, right? All this stuff. It's not hard to find very, very rigorous research on it. So then the core issue is that this research isn't trusted, or an individual would choose to trust what they hear in their political circles, or from their friends, or from certain presidents of countries that have U and S as their initials. But the point of that is trust is through the fault of whoever is not there. And to build that, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. And ultimately, it's going to take a lot of voices, right? So, it's going to start from people being more active on social media, being louder than that loud minority, which used to truly be a minority, and I'm sure the anti-vaccine voice is still a minority, but it's so loud and ever present that we've seen firsthand what it's done. And so you can take this as a bit of a call to action, right? But speak up wherever you can, whether that's in person, online. And I guess I gotta stress online because I think that's what I myself have issues with, right? I can yap all I want in person, but God forbid I leave a YouTube comment, right? That's something I do not do very often, but I'm making a commitment, right? And there's so much involved in this world of misinformation and deceit, and whether, I guess deceit implies deliberate, but whether it's deliberate or not, there's so much to talk about here. So I'm gonna be doing a lot more videos into that. So stay tuned. I really, really want to dig into the root of all this rot. Doing my part as a farmer show, your local neighborhood farmer show, #1 ranked. Don't Google that. Don't verify that. Just take my word for it. And yeah, let's see what we can do, guys.